Why do some people never seem to build wealth, even when they work hard and earn well? It's a question most of us have quietly asked, maybe late at night, when the numbers still don't add up. You do your part, you show up, you save what you can, and yet, money slips away, opportunities feel blocked, and abundance always seems to belong to someone else. What if the answer isn't out there, but in here, inside your own home? Because in Feng Shui, wealth is not only about effort, it's about energy. And many homes, even beautiful ones, are quietly blocking abundance from the inside. Not through bad luck or wrong timing, but through the weight of what we hold on to. Old clothes tucked deep in drawers, wallets with torn linings, bags that haven't been touched in years. These items may seem harmless, even invisible after a while, but energy doesn't forget. In fact, stagnant energy clings to what we wear closest to our bodies. And slowly, subtly, it begins to shape what we allow or don't allow into our lives. When we surround ourselves with objects tied to lack, outdated identities, or emotional weight, we signal to life that we are full, that there is no space left, that we're still living in the energy of not enough. But here's the good news. Letting go is not loss, it's invitation. Today we'll uncover 5 specific categories of everyday items that quietly disrupt your financial flow. And more importantly, why releasing them isn't just about tidying up. It's about declaring to the universe, I'm ready to receive. This episode is about more than decluttering. It's about choosing alignment. Because wealth isn't only a number, it's a frequency, and your home is either echoing it or muting it. So as we begin, I'd love to invite you to participate in a small but powerful act. Leave a comment below. Something simple and true, like, I make space for wealth. Speak it out loud. Type it with presence. Let that be your seed. And if this message resonates, if you're ready to create a home that supports not just financial growth, but emotional freedom, subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. Let's walk this journey of spaciousness in abundance together. Now take one gentle breath, exhale fully, and get ready to see your closet, your wallet, and your space with new eyes. Because sometimes the first act of wealth is letting go. 5 categories that block wealth energy. 1. Worn out wallets and handbags. Of all the items we use daily, few carry as much symbolic weight in Feng Shui as the wallet and handbag. These are not just tools for holding cash, cards, or receipts. They are energetic containers, extensions of your financial identity. They travel with you, they accompany your every transaction, and most importantly, they absorb and reflect how you relate to wealth. In classical Feng Shui, the wallet is considered a direct representative of your wealth basin. That is, your ability not just to attract income, but to store and retain prosperity. The handbag, especially one you carry often, magnifies this. Every scratch, every broken zipper, every threadbare corner sends a silent but powerful message to the energetic field around you. I cannot hold on to abundance. Cracked leather tells a story. Faded linings and worn clasps whisper that something is falling apart. And when the outside of what you carry looks like it's been through struggle after struggle, the internal energy, your confidence, your ability to manage finances, often mirrors that state. There's a simple yet brutal truth here. If your wallet looks like it belongs in survival mode, your finances likely feel the same way. I've worked with dozens of clients who felt stuck in cycles of income instability. Some of them earned well, yet were always in overdraft. Others lived with a low-grade anxiety around money, feeling like whatever came in slipped away before it could settle. In nearly every case, one of the first things I looked at was what they used to carry their money. And without exception, every client with these money patterns carried something that was physically damaged. A wallet with a frayed seam, a bag whose strap had been stitched together more times than they could remember, or even just a wallet so faded it no longer reflected who they were becoming. One client, a freelance consultant, had been using the same wallet since her college days. It was soft from use, the leather stretched thin, with a broken zipper she'd learned to ignore. When I asked her what she felt when she looked at it, she paused and said, "It kind of makes me feel behind." That word, behind, said it all. After we replaced it with a new wallet, not flashy or expensive, but whole, structured, and in a color that reflected the wood element for growth, she reported a marked shift in her spending. She stopped impulse buying. She checked her accounts more regularly. Her invoices were sent on time. Within 3 months, she'd negotiated her largest contract yet. This is not magic. This is energetic clarity meeting practical action. When your tools of wealth speak the language of scarcity, your energy adapts to match it. When your tools of wealth are aligned with structure, dignity, and calm, so is your behavior with money. In Feng Shui, the wallet should feel like a vessel, not a struggle. It should offer a sense of quiet order. Your cards are accessible. Your cash is flat, not crumpled. The stitching holds strong. If it looks like it's been through a war, it's not just aesthetics, it's influence. Energy gathers where attention goes. If your wallet is broken, neglected, or overstuffed, it isn't just an object. It becomes a metaphor. And metaphors shape behavior. There's another layer to this, the element of containment. In Feng Shui, a container must be whole to retain energy. A torn bag doesn't just leak visual appeal, it leaks qi. And qi, the life force energy that determines the flow of health, wealth, and happiness, cannot stay where there's a hole, literal or symbolic. That's why someone carrying a handbag with a broken strap often feels unanchored, physically and financially. Let's talk about form and color for a moment too. While not all color psychology translates directly from traditional Feng Shui, we know certain tones reinforce specific energies. A wallet in black or deep navy evokes depth, grounding, and water energy, a flow that supports income. Burgundy or forest green invites the energy of growth and prosperity. Bright red can activate luck, but may be too stimulating for some, especially if financial anxiety is already present. More important than color is congruence. Does your wallet reflect who you are and who you're growing into? Here's a small exercise. Take out your wallet. Really look at it, not with judgment, but with awareness. How does it feel in your hand? Do you feel proud of it? Does it feel aligned with your vision of abundance, of stability, of generosity? Or does it feel like something you've outgrown but haven't replaced? Like a message you're sending the universe out of habit, not intention? Now ask, if someone handed this wallet back to you in a dream, what story would it be telling about your relationship with money? And if that story is not one you want to keep repeating, it's time for a shift. Replacement doesn't mean extravagance. It means integrity. A wallet doesn't have to be expensive. It has to be whole, structured, clean. It has to remind you that you are capable of holding and multiplying wealth, not just chasing it. A simple, high-quality wallet that closes properly and invites your touch is a daily affirmation in itself. The same goes for your handbag, especially if you carry one daily. This is the energetic frame around your movement. It should not weigh you down, nor should it be a dumping ground for forgotten items, tangled headphones, or receipts from a life you've already moved on from. Your handbag should hold with intention, a physical space reflecting mental order. Consider this. Some handbags are so full of things from the past, old lip balm, expired IDs, pens that don't work, that the person carrying them is literally weighed down by decisions they've never made. In Feng Shui, clutter isn't neutral. Clutter is postponed energy. When you carry it, you are dragging the unresolved into every meeting, every date, every conversation about the future. The solution is not complicated. Empty the bag, wipe it clean, remove what no longer needs to be there. Then decide, is this a bag you want to carry forward? Does it represent where you're going? If it's not a yes, let it go. And if the idea of letting it go makes you feel guilt or resistance, that's the signal that you're attached not to the object, but to the version of yourself that bought it. It's okay to honor that version, but it's also okay to release her so the next version of you has space to grow. This process isn't about perfection, it's about congruence. Your wallet and your bag are not just accessories. They are declarations. And the question they're quietly asking every day is, are you ready to carry more? Because if the answer is yes, it starts here, with what you carry, how you carry it, and what that container tells the world and you about your capacity for wealth. 2. Stretched, shush, faded, or old undergarments. Of all the garments in your wardrobe, none are closer to your core energy than your undergarments. While invisible to the outside world, they are in direct contact with your lower abdomen, what Feng Shui recognizes as the Dantian, or energy center. In traditional Chinese medicine, this area is considered the life gate, the seat of vitality, reproductive strength, and foundational qi, life force. If your clothing around this region is old, stretched, or neglected, it doesn't just impact comfort. It undermines the very energy upon which your daily life rests. We tend to think that only what is visible matters: outerwear, polished shoes, the bag you carry. But in personal energy management, it is the unseen layers that shape the deepest levels of influence. Just as the foundation of a house determines its stability, your undergarments shape how safe, energized, and present you feel in your own body. When that base layer is compromised by fabric that's thinned out over time, elastic that no longer holds, or discoloration that signals wear and age, your qi begins to slip. Let's talk practically. Most people don't notice how much their undergarments impact their motivation until the moment they upgrade. A stretched waistband causes physical discomfort, yes, but more subtly, it mirrors an internal loosening of discipline or drive. Underwear that no longer fits properly, that slips or rides up or sags, becomes a quiet distraction. And while you may not consciously register it during your day, it dulls your edge, it lowers your vibrational tone. I've worked with clients who couldn't understand why their focus had decreased, why they felt more tired, or why they lacked the inner fire they once had. It wasn't burnout, it wasn't diet. For many of them, it started with something as small as the condition of what they wore underneath their clothes. One client, a male entrepreneur in his early 40s, described feeling a drop in self-esteem over time, despite external success. He chalked it up to midlife. But when we did a deep energy inventory of his habits and wardrobe, he realized he was still wearing underwear from his university days. Cheap, worn, barely holding shape. When he made the shift to investing in a set of high-quality, supportive undergarments, he described feeling suddenly more in control. His posture shifted, his daily energy increased. His wife even commented that he seemed lighter. Now, was it just the underwear? Of course not. But energy has roots, and the closer to the root, the more leverage you have to change the entire system. From a Feng Shui lens, worn-out undergarments fall under the category of hidden clutter. They may be tucked away, but they're present in your field, from the first moment you get dressed. If you begin your day by placing something damaged or depleted against your energy center, that becomes your first energetic imprint. And it's hard to radiate clarity, strength, and confidence when the foundation of your body is being reminded of fatigue or neglect. There's also a symbolic dimension here. Undergarments are personal, intimate, often associated with self-care and private confidence. When you neglect them, it suggests a part of you has decided, I don't need to be supported here. This doesn't matter. And over time, that belief leaks into other areas of life, relationships, career, physical health. Let me offer a more refined metaphor. Imagine building a beautiful home, but leaving the base layer, the subflooring, cracked or unfinished. Would you expect the floors above it to feel solid? Your undergarments are that subfloor. They don't need to be extravagant, but they must be intentional. This does not mean you have to go out and replace everything today. But here's a practical approach to consider. Open your drawer, touch each item. Don't just look for holes, feel for elasticity. Has it lost shape? Does it still hold you? Or has it become something you tolerate out of habit? Anything with thinning cotton, uneven hemlines, fraying edges, or a waistband that no longer gently grips, but instead seeps. Those are signs of energetic fatigue. And when your garments carry fatigue, they quietly pass that on to you. In Feng Shui, the recommendation is always to let go of anything that no longer supports the present version of yourself, and that includes undergarments. These items are like energetic seals. When they're fresh, clean, and fitted well, They hold your chi in, supporting clarity of thought and emotional resilience. When they're worn out, your chi leaks, and you'll often feel scattered, unsure, or low-grade depleted by midday. One female client, a lawyer in a high-powered firm, told me that replacing her entire undergarment set with matching, well-fitting pieces had an effect she hadn't expected. I started sleeping better. I didn't fidget at my desk. I felt like I had my own back. She described the shift as subtle but consistent, an internal sense of dignity that began to show up in how she negotiated contracts, how she spoke up in meetings, and even in how she treated herself after long days. All from making one foundational change. Let's not underestimate what happens when we upgrade the parts of life that no one else sees. That act of honoring yourself where no one is looking is perhaps the clearest declaration of self-worth you can make. So the takeaway is this: don't wait until the elastic fails completely. Don't keep something just because it's hidden. The items closest to your skin are closest to your energy, and the closer something is to your energy, the more power it holds. Choose consciously. Choose items that make you feel supported, secure, and quietly powerful. Because wealth in Feng Shui doesn't begin with a bank account. It begins with energy, and energy is shaped by daily habits, even the ones no one else will ever see. 3. Clothes worn during bad times. There's a particular kind of heaviness that lingers not in the walls of your home, but in the folds of fabric you have kept far too long. Feng Shui doesn't just address space, it teaches us that everything in your environment either uplifts or suppresses your chi. And clothing, especially items worn during emotionally charged times, becomes a powerful container of that memory. Consider this. Have you ever slipped on a shirt that fit perfectly, looked good, but for some unexplainable reason made you feel heavy, withdrawn, or emotionally off-center? Maybe it's the blouse you wore to your last painful breakup, or the slacks you wore through a period of illness or financial struggle. Perhaps it's a sweater that saw you through grief, through months of unemployment, or a year of quiet internal battles you never voiced. The fabric has no tears, but it carries something far more potent: residue. In traditional Feng Shui, we understand that objects in close and prolonged contact with the body act like emotional sponges. Clothing, more than most, is imbued with the energy of the moment. A dress worn during celebration radiates joy, but one worn during collapse holds collapse. The body remembers, and when you wear it again, the subconscious recognizes that vibration, even before you have had time to think. Here's where modern logic often misses the mark. People keep these items because they might wear them again, or because they still look good. But energy doesn't follow logic, it follows memory. You may not consciously recall every moment you wore that jacket during your financial crisis, but your energy field does. And every time you put it back on, your emotional state begins to re-enter that old, outdated frequency. I once advised a client, a woman in her 50s, who said she couldn't figure out why her mornings felt so flat, despite being in a better place in life. She had rebuilt her career, her relationships were stable, her health had improved, but her energy felt dull. And when we looked deeper, we found a row of carefully folded outfits, the exact ones she had worn daily during her divorce years earlier. Beautiful pieces, high quality, but every one of them held the memory of loss, exhaustion, and survival. She hadn't worn them in years, but she couldn't let them go. "It's wasteful," she said. "They're still good clothes." And yet, they were silently anchoring her back into a chapter she had already transcended. Feng Shui teaches us that letting go is not about forgetting, it's about freeing. When you release clothing linked to difficult periods, you're not erasing the past. You're acknowledging that its purpose is complete. You're telling the energy in your home, "This memory no longer defines me." So how do you know which pieces are energetically stale? Simple. Stand in front of your closet, reach for the shirt, the dress, the pants that you haven't touched in over a year. Ask yourself, when was the last time I wore this? And how did I feel during that period of my life? If the answer comes with a sigh, a cold memory, or a subtle shift in your gut, that's the energy speaking. Don't ignore it. These are not just clothes, they are anchors. And you cannot move forward freely while holding on to silent weights. Now, you don't need to burn or shred these items in a dramatic gesture, but you do need to remove them from your daily energetic field. Take them out of your primary closet. If they feel too sentimental to part with immediately, store them away, far from your sleeping space or entry points. But know this, energy lingers where it is allowed. The longer you let those items remain, the more likely they are to seep into your mood, your thinking, and your self-concept. An executive client of mine once said, "I didn't realize how much my closet looked like a museum of struggle." That line has stayed with me for years. Your closet should be a space that reflects your growth, not a museum of your pain. When you open it, you should feel potential, clarity, and power, not nostalgia mixed with sadness. A practical tip: once a year, especially before your birthday or a seasonal shift, do a garment audit. Go piece by piece. Ask not, does this still fit, but does this still fit who I am becoming? If the answer is no, release it, donate it, pass it on. Energy moves when you move with it. This isn't a minimalist approach, it's a clarity-based one. You don't have to own less, you just need to stop owning things that reflect a version of you that no longer exists. And what happens when you do this? You feel lighter. Decision fatigue diminishes. You begin to dress not from memory, but from momentum. Clients report more confidence, cleaner morning routines, and even unexpected opportunities, because their outer world now supports their inner trajectory. So the takeaway is this: what you wear or keep speaks volumes about what you are prepared to repeat. If you want a better cycle, start with better signals. And one of the strongest signals you can send is this: I only surround myself with energy that matches my vision. In Feng Shui, transformation is not always about adding. Sometimes it's about subtracting what's quietly holding you back. And nothing holds energy quite like a piece of clothing that witnessed your worst days. Choose again. Choose consciously. And build a wardrobe that doesn't just cover your body, but honors your becoming. Issue. Torn, musty, or emotionally draining apparel. In Feng Shui, the space around you is a mirror to your internal state, and the items closest to your skin carry the most direct influence on your sense of dignity, motivation, and magnetic energy. Clothes are not just fabric. They are energetic extensions of your self-image. When they're torn, limp, musty, or shapeless, they don't just make you look tired. They signal to the world and to your subconscious that your personal standard has quietly dropped. We've all seen someone walk into a room and command presence, not because of expensive labels, but because everything about their appearance feels intentional, clean, and congruent. That alignment doesn't require luxury, but it does require respect for the body, for the self, and for the energy they bring into the room. Now ask yourself honestly, what kind of signal does a faded t-shirt from 2010, frayed at the collar, with a sour scent from years in a drawer, really send? In Feng Shui, when you wear something old and broken, you broadcast old and broken energy. A corporate client of mine once arrived at a coaching session after months of self-described energetic slump. She was sharp, articulate, and very competent, but she felt invisible at work. No recognition, no momentum. "I don't know what I'm doing wrong," she said. When I asked her to describe her morning routine, including what she wore on days she felt her lowest, she hesitated and admitted, "I've been wearing the same gray cardigan since before COVID. It's got holes in the sleeves. I know it's ugly, but it's just easy." That cardigan wasn't just fabric. It had become a symbol of survival, not expansion. She wore it during lockdowns, through a breakup, through job insecurity, and even now it was the first thing she reached for. Not because it made her feel powerful, but because it was safe, familiar, quietly low vibration. I told her something I'll tell you now. What's easy is not always what's supportive, and what you reach for in the morning becomes the tone of your day. If it's stretched out, baggy, smells stale, or drapes in a way that conceals your vitality, it's not just affecting your style, it's lowering your frequency. We often assume that clothing is a passive layer, but energetically, it's quite the opposite. Clothing shapes posture, movement, and even internal thought. A sleek blazer that fits just right encourages uprightness, sharper focus, and composure. A sagging, stretched-out sweatshirt may feel comforting for 5 minutes, but often leads to sluggishness, distraction, and low self-worth throughout the day. What's more, clothes that carry odor, especially if stored in damp closets or near moisture, can stagnate the air in your space and subtly drain your life force. Feng Shui considers scent to be a key carrier of memory and mood. A musty smell is not just unpleasant, it signifies stuck energy, old narratives, and environmental fatigue. If you put on a scarf or a jacket and instinctively feel off, it might not be your mood. It might be what you were wearing. There's also a practical side. When you present yourself in clothing that appears neglected, people tend to mirror that perception. They unconsciously assume you're either overwhelmed, disconnected, or unaware. That may not be true, but energy doesn't wait for explanations. People respond to what you silently communicate through your choices. Now, let's be clear, this is not about perfectionism or designer fashion. You can look powerful in a $10 shirt if it's clean, well-shaped, and energetically fresh. The standard is not price, it's presence. Here's how to reset this part of your life. Step 1, audit your closet. Anything with visible holes, sagging seams, broken buttons, permanent odor, or discolored patches, set it aside. Ask, does this item make me feel sharper, stronger, clearer? If not, it's time to part ways. Step 2, limit the maybe one day pile. If it hasn't been worn in over a year and it doesn't bring genuine delight or inspiration, it's not helping. Storing it for a hypothetical future only adds noise to your space. Step 3, pay special attention to accessories. Worn-out belts, scuffed shoes, or peeling bags also carry energetic signals. Your bag, for instance, is where you keep your personal tools and belongings. If it's frayed or cluttered, it subconsciously signals lack of control. Step 4, be honest about invisible cues. If something smells off or feels damp or makes you feel dull when you wear it, trust that. Energetic intelligence is subtle, but it's always accurate. One of the most common excuses we hear is, but I might need it someday. But here's the truth, future abundance doesn't respond to scarcity hoarding. It responds to confident release. When you let go of items that don't match your next chapter, you're telling your environment, your subconscious, and the universe, I trust what's ahead. I once met a woman in her 60s who shared a remarkable story. After decades of holding on to just-in-case clothes, suits from her early career, accessories from her student years, she did one radical thing. She cleared out everything that no longer fit her body or her life. It was terrifying at first, she said, but within 2 weeks I got invited to a gallery event, started dressing better, and strangely, felt 10 years younger. Why? Because she had let go of the weight of what she used to be and stepped into the energy of who she was becoming. Feng Shui is not just about objects. It's about the movement they allow or block. When your wardrobe is filled with items that reflect strength, alignment, and clarity, your day moves differently. Your energy aligns with purpose, and your interactions start to mirror that newfound presence. So the core takeaway is this: your clothes speak, even when you don't. If you want the world to hear strength, care, and potential, dress in a way that tells that story. Eliminate the items that tell a different tale. A frayed collar whispers, I'm tired. A stale scent says, I've stayed too long in the past. A sagging garment says, I've given up. But a crisp shirt, a clean silhouette, a fresh scent, those things say, I am present, I am worthy, I am ready. And in Feng Shui, that's more than enough to begin inviting better luck, stronger momentum, and greater prosperity into your life. One outfit, one choice, one morning at a time. 5. Old calendars and emotional timestamps. In the realm of Feng Shui, we often speak of the invisible architecture of energy, how objects shape the unseen atmosphere of a home. But among the most overlooked energy anchors are those that sit quietly on your desk or wall. Old calendars, planners, and time-bound paper reminders. While they seem harmless, they carry one of the heaviest types of energy, lived memory, frozen in time. Calendars are more than scheduling tools. They are emotional time capsules. Every note scribbled on a Monday morning, every circled date, every red X. These are not just ink marks. They are emotional timestamps that imprint a cycle. When you keep a calendar from a difficult year, a season marked by illness, heartbreak, financial strain, or personal collapse, you are not just archiving information, you are preserving an energetic signature. And whether consciously or not, you are allowing that cycle to remain active in your field. In Feng Shui, time has qi, and when you cling to expired timelines, you are holding on to the qi of that moment. That's why many people unknowingly stay stuck in the same emotional frequency year after year, even after their circumstances have changed. They wonder why they can't seem to break through, why life still feels heavy or regressive. But if you're still glancing at a calendar from 2021, a year marked by loss, anxiety, or personal trauma, then you're reactivating that energy every single day. I once worked with a client, a real estate agent in her early 40s, who told me she felt like she couldn't turn the page on her career. She was doing everything right, updating her listings, networking, studying new strategies, but nothing landed. Her business remained stalled. When I visited her home office, the first thing I saw was a 2020 wall calendar still pinned above her desk. Not flipped, not updated, just left there. She had stopped using it after the market dipped and her deals fell through. When I asked why she hadn't taken it down, she shrugged and said, "I just haven't thought about it. It's part of the wall now." That calendar wasn't part of the wall, it was part of her blockage. I invited her to take it down right there and then. As she removed it, her hands shook slightly. "I didn't realize how heavy this feels," she admitted. That moment became symbolic, not just removing paper, but removing a stagnant imprint. Within a month, she had landed 2 new clients, not because of magic, but because she had finally created an energetic permission slip for forward movement. This is how subconscious energy works. When you surround yourself with symbols of the past, especially in healed or unresolved moments, your environment becomes a looping record. Even if your conscious mind wants change, your home continues to whisper the old story. And the calendar, more than almost any other object, is a storyteller. It says, "This is where you were. This is what happened. Don't forget." But healing often requires forgetting, not in the sense of denial, but in the act of release. When we let go of symbolic objects like calendars, we make a clean break in the timeline. We declare that the cycle is closed, that the pain, the lesson, the memory has served its purpose and is no longer needed to be revisited every day. So how do we handle this in practical Feng Shui? If you have any calendar that references a past year, and especially one associated with difficulty, remove it from visible space. Don't flip it. Don't save it for the art. Take it down. Dispose of it with quiet awareness. You don't need to perform a ritual, but you do need to understand that you're not discarding paper. You're closing a loop. Even digital planners can trap this energy. If your device is cluttered with old events, unfinished to-do lists, or reminders from years past, archive them. Delete what no longer serves. Or give your current timeline room to breathe. There's a Feng Shui saying, when you are ready to begin again, don't keep looking at the map from where you got lost. Old calendars often serve as unconscious anchors to a version of you that is outdated, the version that was struggling, grieving, uncertain. You don't need to bring that version forward. You need to honor it, thank it for surviving, and then leave it in its rightful place, the past. One of the most liberating things you can do in early spring or at the turn of a new season is a time-based decluttering, releasing not just objects, but expired timelines. Every calendar carries chai. When you dispose of the old, you free the space for fresh days to unfold without the weight of comparison or memory. Let's make this clear. You are not your past appointments. You are not the month when things fell apart. You are not the dotted note next to surgery or divorce hearing or missed flight. You are who you choose to become today. And if your environment doesn't support that becoming, you are swimming upstream every morning, silently pulled backward by your surroundings. So the core principle here is this: don't let yesterday's timeline define today's energy. Time in Feng Shui is circular, and if you want the new cycle to begin, you must signal its arrival. You must declare the previous chapter closed. Clear the wall, toss the planner, release the year you survived. The days ahead are blank pages. Don't let them be haunted by ink from years that no longer serve your story. 2. Designing a space that holds success. This is not a lesson in minimalism, and it's not a lifestyle trend. This is a wake-up call. Your home, the space you walk through daily, the drawer you ignore, the clothes you pass by but never wear, is silently narrating your life. Each object holds a story. Each corner holds momentum or stagnation. And while you may not realize it, these unspoken details are shaping how quickly or how slowly you rise. In Feng Shui, we do not organize for beauty. We do not clean for comfort. We shift space to shift destiny. That old wallet with the torn seams? It's not just worn, it's been whispering scarcity into your hands every time you pay a bill. The underwear that lost its shape 2 years ago? It may not be visible to others, but it has been influencing your self-respect, your posture, your private energy, the invisible confidence that fuels every decision you make, and the calendar you forgot to throw out, the one that marks the year of your burnout, your loss, or your breakup. It's not benign, it's a relic, a subconscious time capsule that reopens its wounds every time you glance at it. These items are not clutter. They are contracts with your past self. And until you tear them up, physically, emotionally, symbolically, you are still bound to them, still repeating the patterns, still circling back to the same outcomes. So here's the truth that few are brave enough to speak. Success doesn't start with vision boards. It doesn't begin with affirmations. It begins with space, and space begins with choices. Every single item in your environment is either holding the frequency of the person you were or creating space for the person you were becoming. That's not philosophy, that's physics. Energy moves where permission exists. And the fastest way to give that permission is to remove what no longer belongs. You don't need to renovate your entire home. You just need to start. Tonight, I invite you to walk quietly through your home, not with judgment, but with presence. Open one drawer, one closet, one old box you have been avoiding. Find the item you already know and your gut doesn't serve you, and say goodbye. You don't need to make a ceremony out of it. You just need to choose. Let go with awareness. Let go with respect. Let go with gratitude. Because when you release what no longer matches your future, what you're really doing is making room for new beliefs, new behaviors, and new blessings to arrive. This is the real work of transformation. It isn't loud. It isn't always visible. It's in the quiet, deliberate shifts that ripple out and alter everything. A stronger flow of income, a clearer sense of identity, a deeper feeling of self-trust. These don't come from wishing. They come from alignment. If today's message resonated with you, if you felt even a small moment of recognition or clarity, I invite you to take one action. Share your empowerment, leave a comment below. Something simple, honest, and powerful, like, I released what no longer matches my future. These words are not just affirmations. They are commitments, energetic declarations that set change into motion. And if this perspective speaks to your spirit, if you're ready to align your living space with your growth, please consider subscribing to this channel, New Day Mindfulness. Your support helps us continue to bring thoughtful, real-world Feng Shui insights into everyday life, not as superstition, not as decoration, but as a genuine path toward clarity, abundance, and inner steadiness. Remember, you don't need a new life overnight. You just need to start choosing like someone who is no longer settling. And it begins not with what you keep, but with what you are finally ready to let go of. Now the space is yours. What will you choose to make of it?